Hello, everyone. All right. Hopefully, we've got this working. Hopefully, a few people will jump on in. I'll, as usual, give it a little bit of time. Sorry to anyone who watches this back later. I'm sure you'll be able to skip forward. I'm going to wear my blue light glasses again because they help. And I was in such a good routine until a week ago, really, of my night routine was literally like textbook. Oh, this back. Does that help? Oh, that helps. Okay, good. That's less. All right, let's see how we go. Yeah, my night routine was literally perfect until about a week ago. I'm now at my parents' place in Melbourne. I was down the coast with my partner and I literally had the best night routine. Like every single night, we would wind down by like 8:30, just have one dim light on in the room, and we just stretch and foam roll and read and meditate and drink tea, and it was amazing. I would fall like pass out by 8:30, 9 o'clock at the latest. When we get up at 4:30, since it's gone, I've been getting up at like 5:30, but that's, yeah, I think that's still pretty standard for me. But yeah, anyway, the blue light glasses are to try and help me get back into that awesome routine. So, um, all right, maybe we will start jumping into today's topic. As you all know, today we're talking about self love. So, in the name of self love, I've brought along my mug of tea. I have mixed our anti inflammatory tea and another brand of like a sleep tea. So again, trying to help me get back into my good night routine. And water, because I went for a run earlier with my dad. We're both just starting to get back into it because we've both been injured. So we didn't run too far or fast, but anyway, I think I need some more water. Okay, so self-love. Actually, before we jump into this, I just want to say to anyone watching who's doing our challenge that it's been so great to see all of your updates. Thank you for continuing to share. You're all doing so well. I know that kind of around this time it can start to get hard, and maybe leading up to this time, people can find the slightly challenging bit. Some people never find a challenging bit, but I just want to remind you all, I guess, yeah, to remind yourselves why you're doing this, remember your why, um, and to know that it 100% gets easier. You're literally creating long term habits, you're creating change. It's not just a mask of, a few weeks and that's it. And then you just have to hope and pray that you don't go backwards. It really is laying down foundations for literally rewiring the way that you think and the way that you act and your habits and your health. And I just want to, yeah, say that you're all doing so, so well. And we love the energy in the group. So keep it up. And yeah, if anyone's got any questions at any time, you can always call or email, or obviously we have a WhatsApp group for the challenge, so ask away in there. I try to check that regularly, but honestly, that is not my most checked platform for SPN. Um, if you want to speak to me personally, you can definitely talk to me in the WhatsApp group, but email or our Facebook page, I do check more, but I will see it. Um, okay, and also as we're going, if anyone's got any questions, comments, feel free to just pop them in the comment section here. And I'm here solo tonight, so I'll be doing the best I can to kind of keep up with the comments, but sometimes I do miss them and then come back to them. So I'll get back to you. And worst case, if anyone's got any questions that they want to leave after or anything like that, I'll come back in tomorrow and just check the comment section and answer all of your lovely questions or comments. Okay, So, self-love. Sometimes I guess this topic is sometimes it's easier said than done, and again, sometimes it's not. It sounds like something that should just come innately to all of us. We should all just kind of have it hardwired to like ourselves or to love ourselves. But I think maybe it's a little bit cultural as well that, we're taught not to be um, too loud. We're kind of taught to be modest. We're not taught to talk ourselves up. So maybe we don't naturally think of all the amazing positive things about ourselves. And then because we don't always think them, we don't necessarily feed them. We don't do things to kind of continue to grow them or to continue to encourage the things that are so unique to us and the things that we love about ourselves. So tonight is all about reconnecting with that. Hopefully you have all received an email. I'm pretty sure it got sent out this afternoon. If not, it's coming tomorrow morning. Just about tonight's live, and I also did up a worksheet, so everyone can go back to that. Maybe we'll post it in the Facebook group tomorrow just to remind everyone. But the worksheet is a really nice place to start. So definitely once you watch this live, you'll kind of hopefully be inspired by a few things. I might say some things that you think, oh, I don't know if I can do that, or oh, that doesn't really appeal to me. But maybe you'll hear something tonight that you think, actually, yeah, I would love to do that. I think that really suits me, or that's really where I'm at. So I'd really encourage people to, yeah, kind of sit back and take in and I guess filter what's best for them. And then also to use the worksheet afterwards to, yeah, solidify that and to be able to put it into practice. Okay. So what is self-love? I think to me, there's kind of two main arms of self-love. The first is really literally finding things that we appreciate and respect and love about ourselves. And sometimes when we're first starting out, love can feel like a really strong word. I guess it is a bit of a criticism of someone to love themselves too much. It makes us sound arrogant when this is completely different to that. This is really about the same kind of love that you would show to anyone else. Any family, friend, even a stranger. I think a lot of us naturally find things that we like about them or find positives. There's something to love about everyone, and it's exact same with us. But we just don't really take that same time or energy to sit back and think of how it applies to us, of how we might love ourselves, and then how others might love us too, or what we have to offer, or what makes us so special, or what we enjoy the most. So I think the first main arm is kind of being able to accept ourselves and to value ourselves and all the little aspects of our personalities. And another really big important part is not just our personalities, but our appearance. I think particularly as women, we can be so hard on ourselves with how we look and comparing ourselves to others. And it really is just sitting back and going, I'm me, this is who I am. Um, Especially if you're all here, you're already on a path to making yourself kind of the healthiest, best version of yourself, but you can still love yourself throughout that process. You can still be so proud that you are here making these changes, because it would be so easy to just sit back and never take that time to kind of prioritize yourself or to really value how you want to live your life and that you want to live it healthier and more vibrant. So that is a really great step in the self-love direction. And I guess then on that note, the second arm of self-love is actions and doing things and taking time to love ourselves and to kind of make time for ourselves and to feed all of our interests and our hobbies and yeah, our passions and everything that makes us special. Okay, so I think there were a couple of quotes that I read that I think really resonate with those kind of two main concepts of self love. And the first is, how you love yourself is how you teach others to love you. And I think this one is really important. I think a lot of us have heard that you can never truly love someone else until you love yourself. And it does go both ways. If you haven't found value in yourself, I mean, other people obviously can, but I think that we're never going to be able to truly put onto other people, our best selves, and to be able to allow others to see all the sides of us that there are to love. And the other one that really resonates also is the quote, you can't pour from an empty cup, take care of yourself first. And this kind of comes back to the action side of self-love, to actually taking the time to doing all of the things that fill up your cup, that give you energy or that ground you or that make you feel like you. And that's the other beautiful thing about self-love, is that we are all so different. We all have so many different hobbies and interests and quirks and, diverse backgrounds and future goals that this is going to be so different for all of us. The way that we kind of fill up our cups and the way that we find energy or grounding or that we feel ourselves is going to be completely different from one person to the next. One person might feel themselves if they go for a long walk on the beach, but another person, that might feel completely foreign to them. They may feel more themselves if they're sitting in their yard drinking a cup of coffee and staring at a tree. Those are both two really amazing forms of self-love. And I think particularly, when it comes to exercise, movement is a really big one. We'll get to this later, but a key thing with movement is doing it for the right reasons. Doing it because you love your body, you love to move your body, you appreciate the value of moving, not, because you have to punish your body or you have to burn fat or calories or anything like that. It's really kind of changing that mindset and perception so that you can nourish your true self. So when it comes to the actions, so they are kind of all things that nourish us physically. So some are to do with our health, our movement, so our physical health, but also nourish our creativity, maybe nourish our spiritual health, nourish our social health, our connection to others, our connection to Mother Earth. And I think another really key point to this is giving yourself permission to do this. Like I kind of mentioned at the start, some of us have probably had it drilled into us that you should value yourself, but not necessarily love yourself. I think loving yourself really does sound, to a lot of how we may have been conditioned, not something that we want. It's kind of goes against the grain of how a lot of us have been taught when it comes to arrogance. But self-love is completely different to that. It's more self-appreciation, self-acceptance, self-value, I guess. So allow yourself time to do this, kind of push past any of those initial thoughts of, I don't have time to read a book every day, or I don't have time to take a bath, I've got children to take care of, or I've got a business to run, or I've got work to do, or I've got all these other people to please. You can't truly do anything else to your highest ability if you're not fully present, or if you're not in your kind of best health or your best vitality. And the only real way to do that, I think, is to get a complete balance of wellness. And obviously a lot of that is our physical and mental and emotional health. And when it comes to the mental and emotional health, a lot of these kind of self-love, self-respect practices are an amazing way to go about it. Hi, I'm sorry, I just saw this comment, but I can't see your name, but thank you so much for joining. Okay, let's start off with, I really am thirsty tonight. Okay, all better. Let's start off with kind of that first of self-love, which is more of the thought. So when it comes to accepting ourselves, valuing ourselves, and kind of thinking positively about ourselves before we get to the action side of things. So there are a couple of really key things that we should, I guess, identify and work on. I've actually got 4 here that I really want to talk about tonight. Some of them overlap, but they're all really, really important when it comes to kind of, putting aside anyone else's expectations or not valuing other people's, I guess, incorrect opinions of us or ill-informed opinions of us, and just being our true selves and loving that and doing things that are in alignment with that. So the first one is to stop comparing yourself to others. Um, Before I get too far into this, actually, I will say that in our detox programs, we have, you'll all know, you're all in the community, a wonderful community. So many positive people, everyone supporting each other. It is so wonderful to see. On the occasion, we do see people commenting that other people have lost more weight, they wish they could have lost more weight. That, I guess, is just one form of comparing yourself to others. And I think that it just comes down to knowing that we're all on different paths. And, as much as we might all like to drop 5 kilos in 1 week, I don't actually know if anyone's done that, but for example, I'm sure some men do, to be honest. I think we have had that before with some men. Um, that's just not our path, and that's okay. We're all on different journeys, we're all going different directions, we all started in different places. So I think, first of all, when it comes to detox, it's really helpful to remember or to appreciate that it's not, yeah, we're all on different paths, and to not necessarily compare yourself to others when it comes to your weight loss results. I think bounce off each other, as people already do, take each other's awesome recipe ideas, recreate them, share that love. But yeah, the comparing or seeing someone else's results and wishing it was yours. If you know you're doing all the right things, like, your results will come for you in the right way for you. But in general, when it comes to comparing ourselves to others, and why this is something we really want to step away from when it comes to self-love, I think we've kind of all been conditioned to be competitive in a way. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being competitive in general. Maybe I say that as an extremely competitive person, but I think I generally have a pretty good relationship with my competitiveness, in that I can see it as a driving force. And I can see it separate to jealousy. I can 100% see it separate to jealousy. I can see that, um, especially in sport, I can be competitive with someone because they're pushing me, because I want to do better than them, because I know that that will make me a better version of myself. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm resentful of them for beating me, but I think we feel competitive with people, obviously not just in sports aspects, but when it comes to our appearance, our personalities, our jobs, our lives, our lifestyles, our relationships, maybe. And some of these emotions can get a little bit muddied. Competitiveness, jealousy, they, I guess, do overlap in lots of ways, but they are different. So I think use your competitiveness, or even jealousy. I actually heard someone kind of rephrase jealousy in a way that I thought was really, really so important, and a really lovely thing to hear. And I think maybe this is, well, basically they said that jealousy is really just showing us exactly what we want. We're jealous of someone because they have something that we want. And I think I thought at the time, this is maybe why I don't think that I feel jealous, but maybe because I've always viewed that emotion as, I just really want that. Not that I'm jealous of that particular person, that I want that achievement, or I want um, that intelligence, or I want whatever it might be. So I think it's kind of rephrasing it to help you, and anything that you want really comes back to your personality, and it comes back to being your authentic you. So we can actually use this comparing ourselves to others as a way to kind of grow our self-love, because we can help to identify what's really important to us, what it is that we want. If someone else has something that we're comparing to, or that we want to be better than, let's just remove them from the equation and just think internally, what does that mean for me? What do I want to be better at? How can I do so? Um, Again, just remember that we're all on completely different paths. This is a really, really big kind of concept of self-love, accepting that we are us, we're not them, therefore we can't be compared. We can really only compare ourselves to ourselves and to who we were yesterday, and we can use any emotions that we may feel externally about others as maybe a reminder, or as kind of guiding posts of what it is that we want to achieve, or what we value, or what we want to prioritize. This shift alone in energy can really help people to feel so much freer, so much clearer, and definitely more kind of authentically themselves, more able to see what it is, yeah, that they value and that they want out of their lives. Okay, number 2 for kind of the thoughts arm of self-love is speaking kindly to yourself. I think I said this on one of our Zooms the other day, but someone actually asked me recently if I could only give one piece of health advice, what would it be? And obviously in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, I've got so many great foods I'd like to tell people, movements, you know, time in nature, social health is such a big one. But I really do believe that speaking kindly to yourself, anything else, you're not going to get the same value out of anything else if you're not speaking kindly to yourself, because anybody can eat super healthy, but say if you look at, I mean, you can take it too far. Like, technically, the eating disorder, orthorexia, is an obsession with eating too healthy. And if we were to really look at what's going on inside their heads, it is a constant, or it would be, a constant kind of negative chat of this isn't good enough. Like, you can't eat that. It's not healthy enough for you. It's really just negative self-talk. It's all about the negative, what's not good, what's bad, rather than focusing on lots of positive things they could be saying to themselves. And I think that's just one example. There are lots of athletes. They're doing amazing things, pushing their bodies, exercising to the highest level, but they can still be self-critical. And that self-criticism can bring down their performance. It can bring down their sleep. It can bring down their recovery. It can undermine all of the highest level work that they're doing. So I think speaking kindly to yourself is so, so important. And 100% when it comes to self-love, this is key. It can be hard to start to notice. Some people might observe it straight away, but I think really take the time to notice when you're speaking unkindly to yourself, and you might be surprised how often it happens. And I think a really easy way to identify when you are and aren't doing this is just take a step back and think, would I ever say this to somebody else? Would I say this to someone that I love, or would I say this to a stranger? I think there are so many times throughout the day where we can probably catch ourselves thinking like, oh, you should have done this better. You should have done that better. Like, why are you being so slow at this? You know, get out of bed earlier, or go to bed earlier, or eat better. Like, why are you eating this? Or why didn't you call your best friend today like you said you would, or whatever it might be? Would you would you speak to somebody else like that? And the answer, I assume, is no, you wouldn't. Not constantly. It wouldn't be a constant negative kind of pattern. I think most of us, if we have constructive criticism, and I think constructive criticism is called constructive for a reason, because it can be positive, that is kind of portioned along with positive feedback. So I think we should be aiming to do the same things in our own minds. I'm obviously not saying that we should just blindly compliment ourselves all day. Use compliments and positive talk along with any sort of building reflection, I guess. If you're, let's say it is getting out of bed in the morning and you're lying there thinking like, oh my God, get up. Instead of thinking, really mean things about yourselves, like you're so useless for still lying in bed, like why are you so lazy? This is why all these other things are wrong with you. You can take that experience and think, okay, I can identify what I want. I want to get out of bed early, but talking rudely to myself isn't changing anything. It hasn't in the past. So why don't I just give myself a break? Maybe identify why I'm still lying in bed. Am I tired? Am I just literally too tired to get up? Do I need to go to bed earlier? Do I need to drink one less coffee through the day so that I can have a better sleep? Do I need to not eat food so close to bed? Do I need to look at screens less throughout the day? Do I need to find other ways to kind of balance out my energy, like exercising or cooking or hobbies, which we'll get to? So I think in those situations, instead of just going straight into saying mean things to yourself, Try to kind of use it as a constructive, how can I do this better? What is it that I really want? And what am I going to start to implement? You might go, you know what? Either way, I wasn't going to get out of bed for another half an hour or another 10 minutes or whatever it is for you. Accept it. Maybe even try to go back to sleep if you really need it, and then make a plan. Put a plan into place of how you can kind of get around it the next day. Um, um, yes. Okay. So identifying whether how you're speaking to yourself is how you would speak to others. And I think something that really resonates with me actually when it comes to how we speak to ourselves is that, yeah, literally how we speak to ourselves is the same as someone else speaking to us like that. If you were to think about going to work or being in a relationship or being around family members or someone who's constantly criticizing you, how would you feel? How would anybody feel in that situation? And that's exactly what we put ourselves through when we're full of negative self-talk. And another thing that always sticks with me is years ago I read a book. I think it was called The Hidden Messages in Water, I think. And it was so fascinating. I just randomly picked it up in a little hippie town somewhere. I think I was in Hobart. And it talked all about research related to kind of emotions and how the research of how it's affected water. It was so interesting. So they did studies of where they had glasses of water and they put each glass away like in a cool dry shelf somewhere, and one glass they would open up daily and say mean words to, and the other glass they would open up daily and say kind loving words to. I know this sounds a little bit kooky, but there was so much research that found the exact same thing in slightly different experiments. The glass that had the mean words said to it grew mold. The glass that had the kind words said to it stayed perfectly clear. They actually found crystals in some of them. They found really similar results when they just stuck words, like mean words or kind words, to the outside of the water. They did some with ice. Actually, it came from different labs, I think. And then when they froze the water, the ones that were associated with positivity grew these really perfect crystals, and the ones that were associated with negativity didn't. And I think that relates back to us because we are 60 to 70% water. I think we experience, that's just one kind of demonstration of how words and the emotions behind those words can influence effect. And I think the exact same thing happens with us internally. Yeah, we are 60 to 70% water. So I think that's why that rings a little truer to me, because it's literally affecting what is inside of us. But it just goes to show the power of positive words and the power of negative words. Um, okay. Another couple of really good points kind of on this note of positive self-talk is making peace with your insecurities. So anything that, and I know this is another one that sounds a little bit easier said than done, but this all comes with time and practice and patience. It really is all about consistent work. Acknowledging any kind of lingering insecurities and forgive yourself for having them. That alone is so powerful. Forgive yourself for feeling insecure. Don't feel bad for feeling insecure. Just say to yourself, it's okay. Everyone's got insecurities. It's okay. We're not all perfect, and it's okay. And I think on that note, too, another really good point that I have is to accept that perfection does not exist and to accept your flaws, because really they're not flaws. What are flaws if there's no perfection in the first place? Um, so we can kind of practice this by observing the times when we are having those mean negative thoughts about ourselves in our head, and to replace them with kind ones. Instead of looking at ourselves in the mirror and thinking, oh my goodness, like I look so tired today, or my skin is loose, or I wish there wasn't fat in this place. Just look at ourselves and think like, find something lovely to say. It can be anything. It can be as simple as your hair looks lovely today, and oh, my hair looks lovely today, however you want to phrase it. Or it could be, you you're looking radiant, or you look so happy, have a beautiful smile, you're looking fit, you look like, you suit yourself, you look like yourself. It can be anything. Find a way to replace something negative with something positive. um and this one last quote I'll leave you with on this note, which I think just summarizes this point of speaking kindly to yourself perfectly. This quote is from Louise Hay. She's the author of the book You Can Heal Your Life. So the quote goes, "You've been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens." And I just think that is so powerful because it's so true. Most of us probably have been criticizing ourselves for so long and we're still here criticizing ourselves. So let's switch it up and let's just wait and see how positive things can get, how much things can maybe change in the direction that we want them to change. Okay, my next kind of note for this of thoughts around self-love is to discover what is important to you. So this kind of comes back to figuring out, I guess, our truest selves, figuring out exactly who we are. And I guess this is the first step before we can really nourish that, before we can do all of the actions to kind of feed who we really are. But take the time to discover what's important to you. And then I guess the ideal balance of those things. So they may be things that are common to all of us or to most people, like family, career, but also take the time to consider other aspects of your life. So, like your community, your friends, your social life, maybe outside of your blood or immediate family. How do they fit in? How much do you value spending time with them? Where is your community? Um, are you happy with your current social health? Is it something that you want to put a little bit of more time into cultivating? Is that important to you as a person? So just take the time to observe that one. Also observe kind of your relationship with and how important nature is to you. So it may be how you interact with nature or how you spend time in nature. Um, you know, this is going to be a little bit different for everyone, but I think every one of us has some sort of relationship with nature. So it is really identifying what that is for all of us and the best way to go about it. For some people, that relationship may be as simple as they love working and living in a city, and their time with nature is when they go on holidays, or their time with nature may be fresh flowers in the home, or it may be going for a walk down a tree-lined street. But for others who maybe live in the country or live near the beach or constantly go hiking, they may have a completely different relationship with nature. So to kind of identify what that is for you, maybe what you want it to be for you, maybe you want a stronger relationship with nature than what you currently have. And then I think it's also important to consider kind of how we can support Mother Earth. So if nature is important to you, which to all of us it is to some degree, because we literally are natural creatures, how else we can kind of nourish that relationship. So whether that is some more eco-friendly practices around the home, changing some of your cleaning products, um, you know, shopping less or buying higher quality products with maybe more eco-friendly fibers, whatever it may be that kind of fits you and your personality and your I guess beliefs and interests. And then the last, I guess, thing in terms of discovering what's important to you is your interests and hobbies. So we'll talk a little bit about this soon, but lots of us will probably already have interests and hobbies. I'm sure interests, you will have picked up things along the way that you just loved, and maybe you loved dancing more than your friends did, or you love certain shows more than your friends did, or you always liked reading crime books, whereas you knew other people liked reading nonfiction. So these are all little clues about ourselves and our personalities and our truest selves. So I guess kind of sitting back with the questions of what interests you? What do you love learning about, for example? Is it politics? Is it health, environment, architecture, European history? Is it a combination of all of them? Or do you love to travel and adventure? Is that one of your interests? What creative pursuits excite you? Maybe it's painting, maybe it's sewing, maybe it's gardening, baking, guitar, could be learning a language. Maybe sit back and think about what you've tried through your life and what you've really enjoyed, or what you've always kind of wanted, or what you've always thought, like, I would love to do that, or something that's just kind of grabbed your attention straight away. And then once you've taken the time to identify all of these, take the time to grow them. Take the time to kind of find ways that can support what you have figured out is important to you. Okay. So let's move on to the actions side of self-love. So we've just gone through, excuse me, I guess the real self-acceptance, figuring out our truest selves, what we love, what we value. And now we're into the part where we actually feed into those, where we've just identified them and now we're going to grow them. We're going to actually carve out the time and the space to be able to practice what we've just learned about ourselves, or just identified about ourselves. So my first action, and this one is easy and lovely, is positive affirmations. So we love positive affirmations here at Slim by Nature. If anyone has done our pre-detox course, if you haven't, highly recommend it. If you have, you will have seen that we have some really lovely printout affirmation cards. These are just one of the easiest things that you can do. And sometimes at first it can feel a little silly, or you don't always resonate with what you're saying, but with time, we start to believe what we say. We start to believe what we constantly think. We start to believe what we constantly do. It's how habits are formed. It's how we've learned anything that we've been conditioned to learn so far, is because it's just been on repeat our whole lives, or our whole childhood, or whatever it may be, our whole working career. And it's the same with positive affirmations. The more we say something, the more we believe it. And we might not believe it at first, and it might take a while for us to believe it. We might only half believe it, but that is a step in the right direction to loving ourselves and to feeling more positively about ourselves. So I would encourage everybody, when it comes to positive affirmations, to both write them down and to say them out loud. Maybe, unless you're in a space where you don't necessarily feel comfortable or safe, or you don't have kind of a private area to say them out loud, if you don't want to say them in front of other people, completely fine. Just write them down. Even if you're writing them, you're saying them in your head. You might not be saying them out loud, but you're saying them in your head. Even that can help to strengthen, because it really does change our neural pathways. Saying them out loud strengthens that even more. Same with writing them down. So the more of those little, I guess, strengthening tactics that you tack on to one another, the more of a stronger effect you're going to have. So when it comes to positive affirmations, it can be anything. It can be anything from I am worthy, I am loved, I am intelligent. It can be targeting something specific for you, like an insecurity. It might be, say, at work, you really want a promotion. You might say your positive affirmation be, I am worthy of this promotion. I'm ready for this promotion. They know I am the right person for this promotion. Whatever it may be. It can be short, it can be long. If you don't know where to start with positive affirmations, I would definitely say jump online, because there are so many great positive affirmation documents and worksheets and 30-day challenge kind of things that give you a different affirmation every day. So I definitely recommend jumping on there, printing something out, sticking it up on your wall, on the back of your door, in your car, maybe in the kitchen, on the fridge, wherever it may be, so that you are constantly reminded to say positive affirmations. And I think it can be best to just pick one or two at a time. We can want to change a lot of things at once. We can want to feel a lot of things at once, but I think you'll probably get the best benefit if you just pick one or two that feel most fitting, stick with them for, a few days, a few weeks. You might only stick with it for a day and then switch it up, whatever feels right for you. But I think the more that you can reiterate and repeat one strong message, the more benefit you're going to get out of it. Okay. Whoever just commented, I don't know why I can't see anyone's names, but it's just saying Facebook user. Anyway, yes, no worries. Thanks for joining so far. You will be able to access this tomorrow. I'm pretty sure the recording will just go straight into our private Facebook group. Okay, the next action is breath work. First of all, aside from going and doing kind of separate breath work, I would say that in our day-to-day lives, just breathing consciously is already a really big step. So while you're driving in the car, while you're making your lunch, while you're eating your lunch, while you're, winding down for bed, talking to your friends, whatever it may be, just take a moment to consider how you're breathing, to focus on your breath, to realize whether you're breathing short, sharp, or long, deep breaths out of your belly. Really, the best way to breathe, or the way that we should all be breathing, is into our belly. Our belly should expand a little bit. And then once our belly is expanded, if we're doing deep breaths, our lungs will expand slightly and then our bellies will release. So we shouldn't be breathing the majority of our air into our lungs. That's very shallow breathing. We're going to be breathing really deep into our bellies. And this is definitely something, if you realize that you don't do this already, you can learn it. I was never a belly breather. I think I always did a lot of sport, but I think because you're always breathing short, sharp, I don't know, I just never really learned to belly breathe. And I don't know how long I've been belly breathing for now, but I was taught it a few times along the way. So it's probably been over 10 years, maybe in my teens or early 20s or something, that I learned. But I actually remember I was at an osteo or a chiro recently, and they were doing work on me and they asked me to take a deep breath in. And they said to me that I was the only person they had ever seen who naturally breathed straight in through their belly. And that came with work and being conscious of my breathing, but it just happened naturally, which was such a nice confirmation that we really can change for the better with practice and a little bit of, I guess, thought around what we're doing. So breathing consciously in your day-to-day life is a really, really great way to kind of practice positive breath work. But then I think also doing separate breath work is such a powerful, powerful tool. And it is something that I want to incorporate more myself. I will be adding this, if anyone's already looked through the self-love worksheet, I'll be adding this into my self-love worksheet because I would love to do more of it. But doing set breathwork techniques is so powerful. It helps us to activate our parasympathetic nervous system faster. So that's our rest and digest. It brings us back into our bodies. It literally helps us kind of push away that anxious fog. Anytime that we're feeling anxious and we're feeling like a little bit flighty, a little bit scattered, a little bit chaotic, it helps to just ground all of that. Find a central point within yourself, help you to calm down and to really connect into yourself. And I think that's what's so powerful about breath work, is that it connects you to your truest self, to access your true emotions. I think that scattered feeling is not us. That's a product of whatever situation we're in or whatever our surroundings are at the time. So breathwork is so fantastic to just bring you back into yourself. I've got lots of different breathwork techniques. I would love to share them with you all, but I do not have time right now. If anyone wants some, you can definitely shoot me an email and I'm happy to share a couple. Actually, another place that you'll find too is in our pre-detox course. And they also come with some cute graphics, so you can print them off and stick them up on the wall. I'll just quickly go through one that I do has become a real go-to because it's easy. It's easy. You only really have to do a few rounds and I feel it straight away. So blocking your thumb with your nose, right nostril with your thumb, and then your left nostril with these two fingers. Doesn't work so well when you're wearing glasses. And you're going to block one nostril, breathe in, switch, breathe out, breathe in, switch, breathe out, and continue. And that whole time you're taking really deep breaths in and out. Your belly is the one expanding, and you always switch at the top. At first, I thought it was really confusing because I could never remember when to switch, but you breathe in, and that's when you switch. And then you breathe out, and then after every in-breath is when you switch. And that is such a nice way to kind of connect into our bellies, connect to our true selves. If you're first getting used to belly breathing, another really good thing to do is to lie on a bed. This one's also really great to do with kids, or to lie on the floor, to put your hands or a book. It's usually good to have a different object on this, or a book. I wouldn't recommend your phone. Try to do any breath work with your phone away. A book or a teddy or a pillow or something on your belly, and then you can watch it or feel it rise and fall with your breath. My next action is setting boundaries. So this one can be a little bit scarier because often we can feel a little bit rude, I guess, for saying no, especially when we've been conditioned to, I don't know, help others and to put others first. And I think putting others first is a very noble and at times amazing thing to do. But if we're not taking care of ourselves, we can never truly take care of anyone else. So I think you have to make sure that you have filled up your cup enough to be able to help others. But I think that's where it's really important to identify what is beyond your capabilities or what is beyond something that suits you. So I think it might be sitting back and thinking about times where people have completely drained your energy. Maybe you have a friend who there are so many things that you love about them, but they just emotionally dump on you every time you see them. They won't take your help. They just want to rant. And maybe it's, when it least suits you, or without at all considering your feelings, or without them being able to listen to you. It's not a reciprocal kind of two-way relationship. It's just a one-way dumping. Maybe it might be that friend that you have to put up a boundary and say, I can't see them one-on-one anymore because they just emotionally dump on me. My boundary is that I will only see them in groups. It might be that your sister or a friend asks you to babysit and you don't have time, but you just say yes, and then you're frantic after. Maybe you lose some sleep because you have to catch up on all the things that you need to do. That would be a boundary where you have to say no. You have to say no, you don't have time. So you might be able to think of other situations in your life where you may have some boundaries that you need to set. It may even be things like social media or screen time that you need to set some boundaries for, because you realize that that is actually draining your energy and you notice yourself sitting there scrolling. So you need to set a boundary. You need to put the phone away. You need to set it up on your phone. I think you can make your social media apps turn off after a certain amount of time. Excuse me. Whatever it may be. So setting that boundary however it suits you. And I think on that note, keeping the first hour and the last hour of every night as sacred. I want to say try not, but do not. Do not look at your phone or text people or answer calls. There may be exceptions to this. Maybe you are away from your family and that's the only time you can speak to them, or you like to speak to them just before you go to bed. That's okay. I think that's where you have to see what suits with you and your personality. But first thing in the morning, there is no need to be checking your phone, because it's so easy to get stuck in a loop of social media or of messages or whatever it may be. And then you're waking up and you're submerging yourself into other people's worlds or into a world that's not yours. And that's really not in line with all of the self-love principles. Instead, you want to be cultivating your ideal morning, your ideal world, what is important to you. So rather than kind of living through other people's social media or answering text messages or emails that can definitely wait, take that first hour to do something for yourself. To read a book, to go for a walk, to do some stretching, to listen to a podcast that you wanted to listen to drink some tea, to literally sit and stare at a tree. I think that's probably one of the only ways that we can literally do nothing. Even meditating has obviously amazing benefits. We're still technically doing something, especially if it's a guided meditation. So Yes, first and last hour are sacred. Okay, my next action for cultivating more self-love is gratitude. Um, Gratitude is a tool that helps us to feel. It helps us to feel everything deeper. I think that's the best way to explain gratitude is that when we feel grateful, we feel so joyous about the things that are in our lives. It helps us to see the beauty in everything. So allow yourself time and space to really feel, really see something that's beautiful and allow yourself a moment to actually revel in the beauty of. I'm literally right now looking out my window and there's a tree. It must be a reasonably tall tree. It's up on the second level and it's got these beautiful, like fuchsia pink flowers coming off it. It's so beautiful. So little things like that, allow yourself time to appreciate just how beautiful that is. Maybe it's not just something tangible. It might be something beautiful about someone's personality, or someone did something really lovely for you, or you had a wonderful conversation with someone, or you just really enjoyed the energy and the smile of the person who served you coffee. Take a moment or a few moments to really enjoy that and to think how lovely that was, and to be able to appreciate it even more deeply than what you may have previously. And this is also something that we can learn. I personally have been doing gratitude for a long time. Consciously, I'd say for 10 years is when I first was kind of prescribed, basically, doing some gratitude through a sports psychologist. And it was a game changer. It honestly helped to change my whole perspective and mood around. And I think now it is something that I'm really good at doing naturally. Um, Seeing beautiful things and feeling every emotion that comes with it. So it is an amazing tool to have. Um, and I think it is definitely something that we can all kind of work on and to grow stronger. Another action for self love and connecting to yourself is nourishing your body. So you're obviously all already on this path because you're here. You're a part of Slim by Nature. You have found something, a program, you found us, a community that is helping you get towards where you want to be in the short term and in the long term, helping you to cultivate those kind of long term changes. But I think outside of Slim by Nature, um, if you weren't on this program, or if you were to give any advice to someone who wasn't on this program, or to your future self once you've passed your maintenance phase, is to make sure, one, that you're nourishing your body. So people who are just starting out, that may be, first of all, just switching one meal to a more whole food meal, or to creating a nourishing breakfast rather than a fast food breakfast, or whatever it may be. To try, and even for anyone who's on a detox at the moment, to try to eat more mindfully. And I think this is another one where you'll find so many prompts online. I would love to do a whole topic on mindful eating, because this one does go quite deep. But I think there are a few kind of easy things that we can think. So it's not just. Actually, the first kind of couple of things to do is to make sure you're eating in a calm environment. You're not eating on the run. You don't have distractions. You're not working. Your phone's away. You're not reading a book or listening to a podcast. All there is you and your food, and I guess the environment that you're in. The next thing to do is make sure that you eat slowly. You chew and chew until your food is literally a liquid before you swallow it. That's a really big part of mindful eating, because when we start practicing mindful eating, sometimes it's not until you get to the end of a meal that you think, oh, whoops, I forgot. I forgot to chew my food enough, or I forgot to sit and appreciate it. But you do start to notice how quickly we can move through our meals. So eating mindfully has a lot to do with eating slowly, but then also taking the time to think, where does this food actually come from? And not just the store that you bought it at, but every step before that. If we go right back to the start, someone planted the seed, or someone was riding the tractor that planted the seed. It was on someone's land. Who purchased that land? Like, we can show appreciation the whole way back, generations back, really, if it's a generational farm. And then who watered those crops every single day? Who harvested them? Who washed them? Who sold them? Who drove the truck to get to the supermarket? Who was it at the supermarket that found, that farmer that decided that they wanted to stock it? Or did you go to the local markets? Did you meet the farmer themselves? That would be even more in line with mindfulness and self-love and gratitude, because you have that connection straight to the source, I guess. And another kind of point for nourishing your body is getting enough sleep. Sleep is such an important one for everything, really. Our mental health, our ability to make good decisions, whether that is kind of in life with how we respond to our families or how we respond at work or the food choices that we make. Obviously gives us more energy. It helps to remove toxins, literally helps to flush everything out of the brain. So getting enough sleep is so important for your self-love. We cannot be our best selves if we aren't getting enough sleep. So getting enough sleep is crucial. If anyone wants more sleep tips, you can go back and watch our sleep live. There may be a blog on it as well. If you go, I can't remember if I've written a blog about it, but we've definitely spoken about it before. So you'll find a lot of info in there. And another place to get a lot of sleep tips is in our pre-detox course. We go through sleep in reasonable detail because it is really important for setting yourself up for detox. And it's a really important aspect of detox, like I just said, because it's a really big element of removing toxins. Wow, I just realized how dark it's gotten in here. Okay, I'm going to turn the light on for the last few minutes. Hang on. One sec. Okay. Probably should have considered that before. Hello. All right. So sleep when it comes to nourishing your body. Movement. So like I said before, movement is so important. And I think when it comes to self-love, it is using movement as a tool to kind of give back to yourself and to love yourself, not to punish yourself or to burn calories off fat or whatever it may be. And when it comes to movement, it really is about finding movement that you enjoy. So whether that's going for a walk with a friend, going for a walk alone, with music, with a podcast, with nothing at all, whether that is dancing, or I might be going to the gym, it might be running, it might be swimming, it might be yoga, it might be Pilates. I think it can be anything. And we say movement, like I've said in the past, for a particular reason, because it doesn't have to be intense exercise. What is really important is just regular movement practice. Spending time in nature, this is so important for reconnecting with ourselves. Like I said, there is an element of all of us that connects with nature. And I think figuring out your relationship with nature and how you can best nourish it is so, so important. So spending time in nature in whatever method works best for you, whether that is going to the beach, jumping in the water, I think everyone should do. I'm myself learning to get over being disliking the cold water. Because the sensation of being in the ocean is worth the cold. So I would say that is a great tip for anyone who wants to start to reconnect to nature. And there's so many benefits to cold therapy too. I'd love to do a whole topic on that. Also, when it comes to nature, like I said before, it might be also kind of considering how you can support Mother Earth a little bit more. So whether that is finding more natural cleaners for your home, reusing old clothes, not throwing out clothes as often, shopping at the Salvos, whatever it may be. Hobbies. So identifying and prioritizing some time for hobbies. And this can be anything. It can be creative, like painting, coloring in, sewing, some DIYs, macrame, crochet, home renos, I guess. But it can also be things like bird watching or stamp collecting or language or history or whatever that hobby may be. Find something, because that has a lot to do with yourself and your truest identity, what you really value and what you really enjoy. play is another really, really big one. And this can overlap with hobbies and movement a lot. So this could be literally going and running free in a park. It could be playing on a playground. It could be doing handstands and cartwheels, playing board games, playing frisbee, social sport, backyard games. That's my alarm to remind me to turn off the lights and wind down for bed. It could be going boogie boarding. I actually did this on the weekend with my mum, and it was so joyful. I don't remember last time I boogie boarded. It was so much fun. I honestly felt like a child. I would highly recommend to anyone to do anything that is in line with play. Last 2 points of actions. Learn. Find things that kind of inspire you, whether it's books. Some people don't like to read. That's okay. Might be podcasts. You can learn things anywhere. It might even just be through community. It might be talking to people in real life. So find ways to kind of nourish that intellectual health as well, because that is such an important element of each of us. And then the last one is social. So finding that community, whether it is your family that you already have around you, maybe you already have a strong community in, your school environment or in your work or in a hobby or in sport or whatever it may be. It may be the friendships that you already have. It may be, you might have some kind of peripheral friends who you want to bring in a little bit closer. So finding the time and kind of allowing yourself the space to do that. Lovely. Okay. So thank you for joining. My last note is really just to find time for all of this now. And I think the best way to do that is through the worksheet that we've created. So the worksheet at first kind of goes through the first element of the thoughts and finding things that you love about yourself. And then it is setting in a week what it is that you want to do to practice self-love. So I definitely recommend everyone do that worksheet. If you do, please feel free to share it. We'd love to see. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you all have lovely sleep. Remember to dim the lights and drink some sleep tea. And when you wake up in the morning, get some natural sunlight. It's another good tip to help regulate your circadian rhythms. Okay, thanks for joining. I will see you all next time. Bye.